on the Cambridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to This Week in Ball State Sports, a Ball State Athletics podcast, highlighting the Cardinals athletics teams and administration each week. Presented by Cambridge. Here's the voice of the Cardinals, your host, Mick Tidrow.
Hey, Cardinal fans, we're back inside This Week in Ball State Sports. Today, just an audio version only podcast, but we have a great show lined up for you. Director of Athletics Jeff Mitchell joins us first. We'll have head men's golf coach Mike Fleck join the show as well. And then also women's golf head coach Cam Andry recaps the NAC championships and a lot of content coming your way. Jeff Mitchell joining us first. Jeff, appreciate your time and I hope everything's going well.
Well, thank you, Mick. It's a pleasure to be here. And yes, the semester is coming to an end here in the next week or so. And that means it's championship season too. So a lot of championships coming up. A couple have just concluded, and our student athletes are preparing for graduation, those in their senior year. And of course, we just celebrated the success that we've enjoyed over the last 12 months at our annual Chirpies Awards. And that was held earlier this week. So that's been a lot of fun too.
Jeff, as soon as you said the word championship, guess who walked by where I'm sitting right now as we record this?
Jasmine Driscoll.
Yes, literally with a group of other student athletes. Jasmine was leading the charge, walking through the hallway, as you said, championship season. So it was meant to be. And Jasmine Driscoll,
timing is everything.
It really is, and she's the individual women's golf champion. So what a performance from her! But I thought that timing was pretty epic.
Well, what a spectacular performance by Jasmine over the course of 3 days. Of course, we had the good privilege of hosting the Mid-American Conference Women's Golf Championships at Delaware Country Club, our home course. And Jasmine was just brilliant in fending off some incredibly talented golfers from Kent State. Certainly a shout out to Kent State for winning, I believe, their 26th consecutive women's golf MAC championship. That program is certainly a dynasty when it comes to women's golf. You've got other teams, though, Mick, that are trying to close the gap. Certainly Ball State is trying to do that, and there's no better way to demonstrate that than by having an individual champion. So for Jasmine to win that competitive field, and a highly competitive field at that, pretty special for her, special for Cam Andry and our women's golf program as we continue to improve. But, Jasmine was all smiles. Her teammates were so excited for her, and as was the Ball State Athletics Department and Ball State community to celebrate her accomplishment on Tuesday afternoon as she clinched it with a par putt on the 18th hole to win the deal.
And Jasmine Driscoll also broke or tied the Mid-American Conference record for lowest score in the opening round of a MAC tournament on day one. So performance there, capped it off with the individual championship from day 1 to 3. Fantastic performance.
Yeah. That low score of 67, I believe, as I recall, Mick, that's a good score for you and me on 9 holes.
Yes. If anybody's seen my golf swing, that would definitely agree with that. So Jasmine Driscoll, the individual champion for Ball State Women's Golf. You mentioned the Chirpies, Jeff. Overall, another fantastic Chirpies event to showcase our student athletes for the academic year and beyond. But always good to have everybody come together and celebrate.
It is, and our student athletes really enjoyed that event, and it makes for a fun evening. The student athletes get dressed up, the coaches get dressed up. We have some food for them to begin the evening, and there's a red carpet experience and plenty of opportunities for photos and just time to celebrate and be together. And then we have the show, which is incredibly well done, and we drop the video board in the arena, and it's just a kind of an SB type of experience for our student athletes, where we get to honor both student athletes and coaches and staff who have demonstrated exemplary performance over the past 12 months, and just excited to see all the energy that's in one place with all our student athletes celebrating each other, and then getting to learn about the achievements of their fellow student athletes and other teams maybe that they don't necessarily interact with on a regular basis. And so hard to beat that night every year in late April. And this was my third Chirpies, and it just continues to be the highlight of the spring.
And as we continue talking about celebrating student athletes, we'll have a chance to celebrate the Ball State women's basketball team next week. That should be an exciting celebration to wrap up championship and banner year.
It is. And, one of the things that we do well here is when we do have success, we celebrate it. And it's important to do that as part of a culture that is in a really difficult enterprise where winning is hard. And so when we do it, we have to celebrate it because we want to reinforce that behavior or that outcome. And I credit Coach Sedley and his staff for wanting to do what normally would be a traditional postseason banquet and expand it to invite community members to celebrate the significant achievement that women's basketball accomplished together this year, going to the NCAA tournament and winning a regular season and a MAC championship. And so, yes, it's worthy to highlight on this podcast, worthy to celebrate next week and not only close a chapter for the core four and this championship run, but also to kick off a new chapter as we welcome in a new class of student athletes, talented student athletes that are coming into the program, and just to continue to celebrate really a program which is a little bit of an anomaly in today's age as we undergo roster reconstruction at every turn. But to highlight the continuity of the success of this particular women's basketball program and to project what the future can look like, being just as bright, if not brighter, than the current chapter that we're in. So I'm excited about it, and I think that it'll be a fitting celebration for our current student athletes, those that are outgoing, and then certainly an invitation for our fans to be involved with what the new chapter of Ball State women's basketball is going to look like as we welcome a brand new team to Worthen Arena for the 25-26 academic year.
Man, when you say 25-26, that just reminds me of how fast this whole academic year just went. So here we are, as you said, just a couple of days really away from graduation and academic year coming to a close. Men's golf on the road for the Mid-American Conference Championship run again. Jeff, they're trying to go back-to-back, which we'll talk with Coach Fleck a little bit more, but has never been done in program history. They're trying to do that with a very veteran-laden group that's now healthy and making a big-time push for the championship.
Yeah, they have a chance, and that's all you can ask for at this time of the year. They came off played in a really strong tournament this past weekend, and were very competitive. So I look forward to what they can accomplish in Columbus this weekend and going into early next week. And I think the guys believe in themselves, and Coach Fleck certainly believes in this team and what they can accomplish, and they've been there before. So I think that will serve them well and to their advantage as they go and compete for another MAC championship.
Jeff, looking at the big picture away from Ball State athletics specifically, but saw that the ruling on roster size was going to be postponed or delayed a little bit from the original time.
Yeah, so I made the comment earlier that this house case settlement process is a little like a soap opera that just never ends. And here we go again. So we thought we were going to be in a situation, Nick, where the Judge Claudia Wilkin, who's the federal judge overseeing this case, was going to certify the case shortly after the final hearing, which was now, almost 2.5 weeks ago. And her only remark in that hearing was to the defendants and the plaintiffs, go back, let's take a look at roster limits that have been proposed, and maybe we tweak them a little bit. And at the end of the day, after those talks, it was determined that, no, we're not going to make any changes to these roster settlements. And we're now ready for you to rule, Judge Wilkin. And she has now said, well, let's take another timeout. I'm going to give you 2 weeks, because when I said I wanted you to revisit it, that's really what I meant. And so now she's giving a 2-week period of time where the defendants are going to have to go back and look at these roster settlement limits and try to grandfather in, to use her term, grandfather in some of these roster limits, and perhaps just make some tweaks and some recommendations to how this can look. For example, you've got roster caps now for all sports that didn't exist before. And instead of implementing those immediately, perhaps it's a phased-in approach. And I don't want to get too specific about what that looks like, because I don't want to confuse everybody in an already confusing time.
Right.
But it's, we are tracking this very closely. I've sent emails out to our coaching staff to outline what this means. I've had multiple conversations with our head coaches about the latest wrinkle in this situation. And so we're now delayed for another 2 weeks, and it's going to be longer than that before the judge rules, because she's going to digest some of the information that's given to her after this, what I'm calling as consequential a timeout as there's ever been in intercollegiate athletics. So the play call that's got to come out of this timeout is going to be the defendants getting together and say, look, we've at least got to phase in these roster limits over the course of the next probably academic year. I do think the proposed roster limits are going to be set, going forward, but I do think you're looking at potentially at least a 1 year phased in approach, and that's going to cause some problems for a lot of institutions and a lot of rosters. And but it's in a period of disruption, this just adds to it, and we'll persevere and figure it out. But it does come with a lot of heartache. It does come with a ton of questions for which there are no answers right now. And that was a message, Mick, that I gave to the entirety of our athletic department population, student athletes, coaches, staff at the Chirpies, was, hey, we're continuing to persevere through this time of uncertainty. I recognize that there's a lot of questions that our student athletes have, that our coaches have, and at every turn we're trying to determine answers, to develop answers, to communicate what those answers and solutions to these problems may be. But there's just not a lot of answers to give right now. And as we have clarity, we'll provide that clarity. But if today's or the information that came out late yesterday and trickled in some more over the course of today, which is Thursday as we record this podcast, it's very clear that we are as confused as we've ever been about this process. And I hate to say it, but it's the truth. But I still maintain that at Ball State, we are operating from a position of strength, and we're well positioned to make adjustments and to determine a path forward as we have some clarity from the NCAA, as the NCAA learns more about what it wants to do and how it wants to react as a defendant in this case, as they work with the plaintiffs and try to accommodate the judge's order, so that we can get to a point where we can get back on track as an enterprise. And we've got to get this fixed, because if we go to a settlement, or if the settlement fails and we go to a trial, Mick, we're in some hot water.
Right.
And I'm not sure that we can recover the way any of us want to imagine. So the settlement is something that's got to happen. And so we're going to have to play ball and have to draw up a play coming out of this timeout so that we can execute some type of winning score, which is going to be to settle and to move on and to adapt and adjust to a new world order of intercollegiate athletics. And it's not for the faint of heart. I can guarantee that.
That was very eloquently said, Jeff, amongst all of the confusion that we're all waiting to see happens. So we'll leave it right there and keep people wondering what's happening next because we're wondering the same thing. Jeff, I've always appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us here on the pod.
Nick, thanks so much. Go Cards.
Behind every strong hip and knee. Behind every strong shoulder.
Good catch.
Behind every strong team is our highly skilled team of experts in orthopedics. IU Health is the official healthcare and sports medicine provider of Ball State Athletics, and we're here to keep you moving. From acute injuries to chronic pain and conditions, go where the athletes go. Walk-in appointments for new injuries are available Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And you can always schedule a same-day or next-day appointment and wait from the comfort of your home. Visit iuhealth.org/MuncieOrtho to learn more.
Livestream Services Step-In Caregiver program supports caregivers the way fans support the Lady Cards. If you step in to provide help or assistance to a friend, family member, or loved one, you're a caregiver. Livestream Services can help with support, transitions, education, and planning as you step into caregiving. Livestream Step-In Caregiver programs are a comprehensive way to educate and support family caregivers, care partners, and people with care needs. Visit our website at livestreaminc.org for more information and resources, as well as upcoming events in your area.
So just how big is the Mammoth Pizza at Mancino's? How about a big 24-inch round pizza loaded with all of your favorite toppings? Made to order just for you when you call 287-1300. The perfect size for the big game, the next game, or any event that demands not only the best, but the biggest pizza you can order. And Mancino's is ready anytime. Call, wait 10 to 15 minutes, then head to Mancino's for pickup. Man, is it good. When a large pizza isn't enough, you need at least one Mammoth from Mancino's.
Ball State men's golf about to take on the Mid-American Conference Tournament, and head coach Mike Fleck joining us on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coach, appreciate your time, and it's a big weekend coming up for the Ball State men's golf team.
Yeah, it's a weekend that we're looking forward to. Obviously, it looks like the weather's starting to feel a lot more like spring and moving into summer. So hoping to take advantage of some nicer weather and see what we can do over there this week.
Coach, coming off of a last tournament up at Purdue in West Lafayette, first among all MAC teams that competed in that event. How do you feel like this team is put together what it needs to put together to get ready for the MAC tournament?
Yeah, no, it's it came at a good time for us. I mean, we've battled through some inconsistencies, really, going back to the fall and obviously through the spring, and to be able to kind of put everything together, over at Purdue and finish as a low MAC team, and just gives us some momentum going into the MAC championship. Our guys know that they know what they're capable of doing, and they know what we can do when the core four group of our guys are playing good golf, and we saw signs of that over at Purdue for sure.
Absolutely. I think when you look at this core group that you talked about, winning the MAC championship last year, coming back this year, you mentioned the inconsistencies, some of the injuries that have piled up as well, but it seems like this group has one thing that a lot of teams are always chasing, is that chemistry, and down the stretch that pays dividends. How do you see that playing a big factor for this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to play a role for sure. I mean, we're tournament tested. We've got experience. We've been in this position. We kind of know what it takes. We know, some of the emotional ups and downs that are going to be created over the course of the 3 days. And I mean, I think we lean on some of those things. And obviously, let's not lose sight of the fact that these guys are some pretty darn good golfers too. So, if they go out and do what they're supposed to do from a productivity standpoint, we're gonna be in a good place.
Cash has been able to grind out the year, going through a lot from his standpoint. But when you talk about those golfers in cases like Cash, how have you seen him battle through and get ready for this thing?
Yeah, you know what? He's been dealt a pretty tough hand to work through this spring with a couple of injuries that sidelined him, totally unrelated. And, I think it's just giving him perspective, right? Like, he's a senior. He's, he's lucky to actually probably be playing and be cleared to be able to play with some of the stuff that he, went through back in March. And, I think that perspective change just kind of puts him in a little bit better headspace, relative to, hey, look, this is not the end of the world. Like, it's important, but it's not that important. And, that perspective, I think, is carrying over to a couple of these other guys that are graduating, Ollie and Braxton. And, it's refreshing to have a little bit different of a, outlook, I guess, where it's not just, intensity 24/7.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that you bring up, Coach, because of the way that this team, wins the MAC championship last year. everybody coming back this year, and you can feel the intensity and all that type of stuff. But you mentioned the outlook. I feel like it's a unique position for a group that's been together for a while to have something go on with one of their players, one of their teammates, and then have to kind of shift that outlook like mid season and be like, hey, this is actually the way we can go.
Yeah, and I think maybe not. I'm not one that's into excuses, but we didn't have that lineup that we had at Purdue together since the first couple of tournaments last fall.
Right.
Avery experienced some back issues in the fall, and wasn't really able to finish out the season back in the fall the way that he wanted to. Obviously, we didn't have Cash through the spring, so this group's together, and I think maybe that releases a little bit of the pressure of coming from the other guys that thinking, hey, Cash is out, Avery's out, I got to step it up. Now they can be themselves and go do the things that they know that they're capable of doing.
I think it's one thing that helps to have so many of those veteran presence of players, right? When there are players that have to go through what your team has gone through, there's others that have gone through similar situations or they've been around the game of golf at the collegiate level that know how to help combat some of that.
Yeah, there's there's a lot more composure. There's a little bit more patience, and but at the same time, you still have to kind of have that edge where there is a sense of urgency, and you've got to be able to balance all that, and just execute. It's just one after one after one until we're done, and there's a nice balance of all those elements with this group of players.
Head men's golf coach Mike Fleck joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coach, you had the opportunity to have some fun on a broadcast side of things at the Women's Golf MAC Championships, being a co-host. What was that experience like for you, dipping out of the coaching realm for a few minutes?
Man, I'm telling you what, I had fun. I mean, I told you this. I mean, it was so easy for me because you're such a professional, and obviously you did your homework going into each broadcast, and gosh, it made me think about a little bit of a possible career change here if things don't work out with this golf coach gig here. But it was a lot of fun. I had a really good time with you, and obviously, like I told you, I think the most enjoyable part of it was being able to showcase the talent of the young women that play golf in the Mid-American Conference.
Did you watch the game of golf from a different perspective to get ready for it on the course those couple days?
Not really. I found myself making some comments to some of our young ladies, similar to what I would be making to my guys. If I saw them, hitting a bad shot or making a decision that I thought might be a little indifferent. But it did give me more of a complete perspective on golf in the Mid-American Conference, right? From the ladies' side, all I really see are our girls, on a day in and day out basis. And we hear a little bit about Kent, right? And what they mean to the league. But, to see the other programs and to see the talent and to, be able to experience it and see the competition was certainly something that I'll remember for a while.
No, man, it was great to have you on. Appreciate you pitching the idea to Coach Andry, and Coach Andry came to me and I said, absolutely, we have to get Coach Fleck on for the show. And you knocked it out of the park. Great for TV. So when you retire from coaching, I'm recruiting you to our side of the aisle full time.
Well, like I told you, there's a few things that I'm really good at talking about. Golf is one of them, and you get me outside of that, and maybe I stumble through it a little bit more, and it's not as good. But no, it was fun. You're a pro, and I really enjoyed working with you.
No, I appreciate you, Mike. It was a really good time, and if everybody hasn't seen it yet, a chance to go see the MAC Championship for the women's golf side of things. Recap show day 2 and 3 had a full recap, talked to individuals, teams, and highlighted all of the great things happening on the women's golf side. So really appreciative to everybody that helped out on that side of things. But Coach, looking again at your squad here for Ball State men's golf with the MAC tournament coming up, what makes this team positioned and ready to go for this weekend?
Well, I'm going to kind of rely on the fact that these guys have been through the battles. Carter Smith, Braxton Kuntz, Ali Khan, Cash Beller. Those guys have been through the ups and downs of 3, 4, even going on 5 years now of college golf. And, you throw Avery into the mix, and he competed in that MAC championship last year, for Eastern Michigan down at Chatham. And, we've got some experience. So it's something that I think we're going to rely on. We're going to make sure that, these guys are prepared and they stay patient, and hopefully we put ourselves in a position come that final round on Tuesday.
David Eha's home course, from what I hear, as well as where you guys are playing. So hopefully E can slide over and say hi.
Yeah, no, he's close. Last time we were in Columbus, we got to check out that penthouse of his that overlooks the baseball field. And the other thing is we're going home for Ollie. This is home for
Yes,
him.
that's right.
So,
That's right.
this is going to be a great way for him to conclude his college career at Ball State with the MAC championship. Hopefully we get to go on to a regional, but it's nice for him to be able to play that MAC championship in his final year back home.
100% planned that way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's how we do it.
Coach Fleck joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports, talking Ball State men's golf, getting ready for the Mid-American Conference Tournament. Coach, anything else you want Ball State fans to know about your group? I know it's a really heavy senior class, but just want to give you the floor to talk about your group one more time here.
Yeah, no, you know what? This group has given me so much. I remember when 5 or 6 of these guys obviously came in, years ago, and we went up to White Eagle with a group of freshmen in the MAC championship that Northern hosted. And we had 4 freshmen in a lineup with Joey Ranieri, and I'm just thinking, my gosh, we're so far down in the hole. What are we going to do? And to their credit, they stuck with me, bought into the culture. And I remember telling Beth Getz, after that event several years ago, hey, this group's going to win the MAC. Trust me, they're going to win the MAC. And we did it last year, and hey, we've got a chance to do something that's never been done in the history of our program, and that's go back to back. And all the credit goes to this upperclassmen that have really put the program in a position to have this opportunity. And I couldn't be more thankful for everything that they've given to our team.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate everything you've done for Ball State men's golf and beyond, and can't wait to watch you guys compete in Columbus for the Mid-American Conference Championship again. Thank you for your time, and best of luck.
Hey, right back at you, Mick. Always a pleasure.
Behind every strong hip and knee, behind every strong shoulder,
good catch,
behind every strong team is our highly skilled team of experts in orthopedics. IU Health is the official healthcare and sports medicine provider of Ball State Athletics, and we're here to keep you moving. From acute injuries to chronic pain and conditions, go where the athletes go. Walk-in appointments for new injuries are available Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And you can always schedule a same-day or next-day appointment and wait from the comfort of your home. Visit iuhealth.org/MuncieOrtho to learn more.
Livestream Services Step-In Caregiver program supports caregivers the way fans support the Lady Cards. If you step in to provide help or assistance to a friend, family member, or loved one, you're a caregiver. Livestream Services can help with support, transitions, education, and planning as you step into caregiving. Livestream Step-In Caregiver programs are a comprehensive way to educate and support family caregivers, care partners, and people with care needs. Visit our website at livestreaminc.org for more information and resources, as well as upcoming events in your area.
So just how big is the Mammoth Pizza at Mancino's? How about a big 24-inch round pizza loaded with all of your favorite toppings? Made to order just for you when you call 287-1300. The perfect size for the big game, the next game, or any event that demands not only the best, but the biggest pizza you can order. And Mancino's is ready anytime. Call, wait 10 to 15 minutes, then head to Mancino's for pickup. Man, is it good. When a large pizza isn't enough, you need at least one Mammoth from Mancino's.
We have head coach Cam Andry joining us here on This Week in Ball State Sports. Coach, really appreciate your time joining us after a really busy couple of days and really a couple of months for you.
Yeah, great to be on, Nick.
When you look back at this Mid-American Conference Championship, Jasmine Driscoll, of course, taking home the individual championship. What was it like for you to go through the last couple of holes and watch her do her thing to capture this title?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking because we all wanted it so badly for her, but really cool to see her come through in the clutch and do what she needed to do to get that thing to the house and claim that title. And something that it's earned over a lot of days, grinding in the EY during the dead of winter and out when it's freezing cold on the course, qualifying in March. There's a lot of time that she's put in to get to the position that she was in and be able to do what she did those last couple of holes.
On her second to last hole, I think it was hole 8, she hit one off the tee box and into the bunker. And she walked up to it, took a huge deep breath, and then hit that thing out of the bunker and did have to 2-putt to go for a bogey on that hole. But Cam, I feel like that that shot out of the bunker define like, hey, it's meant to be when you have a shot like that to recover and get back. And then she pars the last hole to secure the win. But that shot out of the bunker, I feel like, was very foretelling what was about to happen.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it's one of those shots that's a really awkward shot. It's like a 35, 40-yard bunker shot. Those bunkers to the right of number 8 green there at Delaware Country Club are really deep bunkers, and it was a tough hole location in the front left section of that green. And so I think, all of us, after she hit it in that bunker, if you would have said, hey, we'll give you a 4 and you could just go to the next tee box, we all would have said, yeah, we'll sign that deal right now. And so, she actually almost made her 3, because that par putt, came up just about a roll short. But she executed that bunker shot absolutely perfectly. And the other thing about that shot is you can't be tentative with that shot. It requires full commitment, full conviction. And in those moments when the pressure is on, it's tough to do that, because in the back of your mind, you're going, if I catch a little too much golf ball here, this is going way long, and I could be walking off here with a big number. But I think she just stayed in the moment and executed and did what she's been training to do, which was really cool to see.
Head coach Cam Andry joining us from Ball State Women's Golf. Coach, you had the chance to be with Jasmine during the watch party for the regional announcement, and Jasmine Driscoll's name comes across the board. You know where you're going, all that. What was that moment like for you to be able to spend that time with her and to see her be celebrated like that and go to the NCAA regionals?
Yeah, it was fun. We had the whole team in there, and they all love and adore her, and so it was just fun for all of us to be together and to see her name pop up. I think we were all a little bit surprised. In my mind, I thought it would either be Ohio State or Kentucky, but I actually thought it might be Ohio State. I didn't have any real reason for that other than a little bit closer, and they usually do those selections based on geography. And so when she didn't get picked for the Ohio State or sent to the Ohio State regional, then we had a pretty good idea that it probably would be Kentucky. And I think it's going to be a blast. We're going to have a great time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Super excited for Jasmine taking home the individual championship in the 2025 MAC championships. Cam, when you look at the season overall for your team now that the team competition portion has wrapped up, what are your overall thoughts about the season?
Yeah, really proud of them. We had a really good year. As a team, finishing 5th place in the MAC championship was a little disappointing. I thought we were capable of that. Kent State's obviously really, really good again this year, but I felt like there was a good chance for us to maybe finish 2nd. We beat every team in the MAC in the regular season, except for Kent State and Eastern Michigan, who we didn't play in the regular season. So, we were pretty good against other MAC teams, and then in the MAC championship, that's the hard part about the way it works in our sport, is it all comes down to 3 days, and we didn't have a very good day 2 at the MAC championship, but in the grand scheme of things, really good season. We're once again 2nd year in a row that we have set the program record for lowest team scoring average for a season.
Yep.
And we finished the season ranked about 25 spots higher than we were the year before, and so now that's since my first year, it's been about a 75 spot improvement in the rankings, which is just a testament to our players, because it's been the same group that whole time pretty much, and they have continued to get better. Their experience has shown through this year with some poise. So really proud of what our team has accomplished. And the other cool thing is, the 5 that played in the MAC championship for us, all of them are back again next year. So I think we've got the pieces in place to do some really cool stuff next year as well.
Yeah, you talk about that group growing together throughout the year and having them for another season next year when you've made all these strides. I think that's a testament to the culture that you all have been building within the program, and then also the way that team has worked. Because it's not easy to be able to do that and show that incremental growth over the time. And your group has done that. So that has to be exciting for you going into next year. I know you wanted to finish higher in the championship run, but that's got to have you feeling, smiling ear to ear that this group the core group is coming back.
100%. And they're talented players, but even more important than that, they're just fantastic young ladies. They do everything right. They're exceptional in the classroom. They work extremely hard every day when it comes to golf, and they're great teammates to one another. They really care about one another. And so it makes it easy to coach them because they're great people. They come from great families. And so, obviously we got exciting stuff yet for Jasmine coming up this spring, but I am already excited for, our season next year starting up in August, and I'm excited to see what this group can do. And we're going to challenge them. We're playing a tough schedule, and I think they're ready for that. That's kind of where we are in this phase with when you have a little bit more experienced team. I feel like you got to challenge them a little more, which we will certainly do with the schedule that we play. And hopefully we can, continue this improvement even next season.
And Kim, I think the number was when Coach Fleck and I were looking at this for the recap show. We were looking at the top 16 golfers within the scoring at the end of the day are all not seniors or graduate students. So like when you talk about your group coming back together, the league as a whole is in a very good place with so much talent. And we saw all of it at the country club. But I think that's a testament to all of these teams doing what they need to do to bring in really high-level talent and golfers to the MAC.
Yeah, I wish a few more of them were seniors and were getting out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, even Kent State, obviously they are the cream of the crop and have been for almost 3 decades in MAC women's golf. But, they had 3 freshmen that all tied for runner-up at the MAC championship. So it's pretty incredible. But I think Sophie for us was our only freshman this year. She had a great season, did not play her best at the MAC championship, but, really, really had a great year. And I think, the Skylar, our one freshman coming in next year, I think we'll have a chance to contribute in some meaningful ways next year. So it is cool that, we've got some really good coaches in the MAC that are doing really good jobs with their programs. I would say I don't know that MAC women's golf has ever been in a stronger position collectively
100%.
Than it is right now and than it will be moving forward.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to hear that, especially with what we saw over the course of the MAC championship run. Cam, before we let you go here on This Week in Ball State Sports, is there anything else you want people to know about Ball State women's golf or everything hadn't been at the off season after Jasmine competes?
No, I think, they're a great group of young ladies, and they're really fun to watch them. It's really fun to watch them play. And some people got to experience that this week with playing the MAC championship right here in Muncie at Delaware. And, in the fall, we'll be at home again in middle of September when we host the Brittany Kelly back at the Players Club. And so, we'd love to see fans out supporting. And honestly, if you got nothing to do and that first week of May 5th through the 7th, you can head on down to Lexington and catch Jasmine in the regional. We'd love to see anybody out. That'd be awesome.
It was awesome to see the support out there at Delaware throughout the MAC championship. A lot of folks from the Muncie community showed up watching Jasmine on that 9th putt. So like Coach said, get out there, make sure to check the schedule, support this program, and go down and see Jasmine at the NCAA Regional. Coach, appreciate your time as always. Thank you, Cam. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mick. Appreciate all that you do for Ball State sports, and appreciate all you did for the MAC championship. We're lucky to have you, my man.
Thanks for listening to This Week in Ball State Sports, presented by Gainbridge. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gainbridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network.